Are COROS making every other running watch on the market look overpriced? Well, to answer that question today, we're going to be looking at this, the COROS Pace 3, and I'll be giving you my full review, having used this for just over 4 months now. We'll be looking at the good and the bad to see whether or not this might be the best value running a multi-sport watch on the market. Like I said, I've been using my COROS Pace 3 for just over 4 months now for all of my running and triathlon training, whether that be swimming, cycling to and from work, running, including short runs, long runs and sessions, more of which I'll dive into later, and going to the gym. Each week I've clocked up between 15 and 23 hours of training with and while wearing this watch, so I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of where this watch is strong and where this watch is weak compared to some others that I've used. In the past, I've used a range of different Garmin, including some Forerunners, but most recently, one of their more budget options, the Garmin Vivo Smart 4, which is a model similar priced to the COROS Pace 3, but with a slightly different feature set. I've used the watch for a range of different runs, whether those be easy, unstructured runs, or sessions, whether those be 300s, 400s, 800s, Ks or miles, progressive tempo workouts. I've used the watch for all of those and it's performed really well in all of those. I don't necessarily have anything to add around the workout features that come on the COROS Pace 3. They're pretty similar to every other running watch I've tried. But let's dive into what I think differentiates this watch to some of the others on the market, and let's start with the good. And I think there are 3 main areas where this watch excels: accuracy, battery, and build. Now let's talk about the accuracy of this watch. This isn't going to be a real in-depth DC Rainmaker style overview, just from my testing, comparing it to some of the previous Garmin watches, because I often run the same route, so I've got similar data across all of the watches that I've used, and I've found anecdotally that the COROS Pace 3 with its dual band GPS is the most accurate running watch I've ever used. I'm not ending up in the Thames when I'm running along the path, even around quite a lot of the buildings in central London if I'm running at or near work. It's pretty accurate. Now, of course, it's still going to struggle if you are 1 meter away from a skyscraper and it's going to put you in the middle of that building. But it seems to do that less and have less trouble when it's overcast, for instance, than some of the other single band GPS watches. I think that's a really big plus if you're a bit of a data nerd like me and you want some more accuracy on your runs. Personally, unless I'm at a track, I still wouldn't use the pace alone to dictate my running effort. I would still look at heart rate and rate of perceived exertion. However, it's probably the best GPS that I've experienced on a running watch as of yet. And while we're on accuracy, it also has COROS's track mode, meaning that those track times, depending on which lane you're in, will be incredibly accurate, which is another massive bonus if you want to be running off pace while on the track. Just to say, if you're enjoying this one, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this, and it really helps out the channel. Next up on our list of good, we've got battery, and I am absolutely blown away by the battery of this thing. I don't know what black magic COROS have done to make the Pace 3 last so long, but I'm going 10 to 14 days without charging this thing, and that's using this for 2 to 3 to 4 different sessions per week, most of those being GPS enabled sessions. Furthermore, I'm often using the music feature while I'm out on the run, which I'll talk about later, but that further tends to drain the battery. But even then, I'm still getting more than 10 days most of the time without having to recharge the watch, and I'm wearing it 24/7 during those days. Comparing this to some of the previous watches that I've used, mainly my Garmin's and my previous Apple Watch Series 3, the Apple Watch I was charging every single night. Now, notoriously, that's bad for battery, so I'm not going to directly compare it there. But even some of my previous Garmin's I was charging every 5 days-ish, 4 to 5 days. And so going 10 days on this watch without charging, I'm incredibly impressed. And it doesn't sound like a big thing, the difference between 4, 5, 7 or 10 or more days, but just that continual recording, never having to worry about the watch running out of battery if I'm going away for a long weekend or going away to see my parents for a few days. I never have to worry about the watch running out of battery. I can leave the house for a long weekend with it on 60% and not even think about it. And that's a real benefit that this watch has over some of the ones I've tested previously. COROS love to boast about just how light the Pace 3 is. Now, I'll stick up how heavy it is just there. It's bloody insane, and you really do tell that when you're using the watch and wearing it. It's almost like it's not there. Now, with a watch so light, personally, I was a little bit worried that the build might feel plasticky, tacky, just not very durable and not very well built. But over the past 3 months, I've been incredibly impressed with how the watch feels day to day compared to some previous models, especially the Garmin's, which have more metal and less of this not quite plastic that COROS is using. I never worry about the durability of the watch, and that's pretty much just due to that build quality. It feels really sturdy, it feels really robust. I have no worries about wearing it all the time, no matter what I'm doing, whether that be sports, DIY, cooking, whatever it is. The watch stays on. I really am not worried about that. And it's something that I was probably concerned about when initially choosing to buy this watch. That is a great relief. But there are two things that have slightly disappointed me with this watch. First is the music functionality. Now, COROS are very open that you can't stream any music, whether that be live or update it from your phone. You have to physically plug the watch into a laptop to download any music. Now, this isn't that bad if you are only listening to music, because you can just download all your playlists, put it on the watch, and it will just shuffle through all your music, and that's absolutely fine, which is what I've ended up doing with this watch. But if you're a bit of a podcast listener like me, it becomes a bit of a pain to constantly be downloading, taking off the watch, plugging it in to put your new podcast episode on there, and there's no actual way of selecting the specific track, or in that case, podcast, that you're listening to. If you often run around without a phone but you still want to be listening to something, it's still a fine option if you only want to listen to music, which is what I've ended up doing. However, it's something to bear in mind compared to similarly priced Garmin's, which allow you to download music straight from Wi-Fi and select those on your phone. And the other slight downside of this watch, which wasn't necessarily a worry for me, is the heart rate monitoring on this watch. Now, COROS tell us that they've improved it since the Pace 2. However, I would say it's still not that accurate compared to some of the previous Garmin's I've used. However, I would recommend this for everyone, but I use a chest heart rate monitor whenever I'm exercising because, like I said, I rely a lot on those heart rate readings to gauge effort rather than using pace. And so the more accurate they are, the more accurate my effort will be while running. I wear a chest mount. It's significantly more accurate than even the best wrist heart rates, and I recommend anyone do that, especially if you're thinking about buying a COROS Pace 3. But if you only want to use the wrist heart rate, I think it's fine. I just wouldn't take it, and like I said, I wouldn't take it like the Pace. I wouldn't take it as gospel when it comes to your effort. But finally, let's talk value. Now, at least in the UK, the COROS Pace 3 is selling for £220 full price. However, if you buy from another third-party reseller rather than buying directly from COROS, it's pretty easy to get 10 to 15% off the watch, which brings it to £200 or just under £200, which is exactly what I did when purchasing this model. And at least in my opinion, for the things that I care about, mainly being battery, accuracy for the GPS, and just build and durability, this watch really does suit me very well, and I think it's an incredible bargain compared to some of the options out there on the market. However, if you want more lifestyle features, remember this doesn't have a touchscreen, for instance, for most features, although you can turn it on for certain features. But if you are looking for more lifestyle features, you might want to choose a more budget-friendly Apple Watch, or if you care more about listening to music or being able to pay for things, maybe a Garmin might be better. But if you are really just trying to use this for mainly running or running and other sports, just wanting that sport-specific, long-lasting, accurate and durable watch for a really, really good value, then I would suggest the COROS Pace 3. But that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Have you bought a COROS Pace 3? Do you agree with me that it's probably the budget king for sports-specific watches, at least at the moment? Or have you had a different experience? Tell me all of those things down in the comments below. If you want to see more videos just like this one where I talk running, multi-sport, whether that be reviews or training, vlogs and advice, make sure to hit that subscribe button just down below. And until the next video, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you all next time.